Hey everyone, it's Chip Franks, and today we are going to go over 5 more blessings, 5 things that we can be grateful for, 5 things that make life even more extraordinary and wonderful. And by doing this, I'm hoping that you will take time to appreciate these things, perhaps, and maybe think about your own blessings. And even better, if you take this as a prompt to write out the things that you're grateful for, that would make me feel good. And more importantly, that would make you feel good, because gratitude is like a muscle. It's not necessarily something we have, it is something that we do. And by doing this, by expressing that gratitude, by going out and actively appreciating things in the world, we become better and better at appreciating things and loving the life that we're in. And just like a muscle, the more we do it, the better it gets, and the more likely we are to appreciate things, even some of the bad things in life. Now, the way that I do this, if you haven't heard yet, is the first thing I like to do a very profound blessing. Then number 2, I like to do an often taken for granted blessing. Number 3 is the no good, very bad, horrible appreciation. And that is us finding something that is quote unquote bad and figuring out the silver lining for it, why that thing can be good. And then number 4 and 5, I like to do the free for all blessings, which is anything that you want it to be. And it can be events, things that have happened, things that will happen, certain things about certain people, or any of the first 3 things. It can be absolutely anything. And what's great about this is when we go out and we start thinking about it and appreciating these things, again, that strengthens our gratitude muscles. So with that said, let's get started. Number 1, the profound blessing. And I would say the blessing is the free will to do what we want in life. And of course, that's got to be one of the best blessings there are. In fact, it makes me think of a Viktor Frankl quote. He wrote The Man's Search for Meaning. And he says, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And of course, we do have that right to choose our attitude. And typically, in most countries and most times in history, we have the chance to actually do what we want to do physically and think what we want to think and feel. Oftentimes, we can choose how we feel often, which is just an absolute blessing. And I love that, to be given that. It is a blessing to be given the dignity of free choice and free will. So, of course, that is my number 1 blessing for today, the profound blessing. So the often taken for granted blessing, huge plastic cups for my son, Alec. He is 11 years old now. Typically, we like to give him drinks with the lids on them so he doesn't spill them. And little cups don't do it for him anymore. And we have these big plastic cups to keep him hydrated. And I just appreciate whoever came up with these large plastic cups for children. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. And it's something I would normally take for granted in absence of a practice like this. So the no good, very bad, horrible blessing, number 3, and I got to thinking about this, and this is really one of the worst things, and that is children who are raised by awful parents. Now, children are probably God's greatest gift to this earth. They are so precious and they are so wonderful. And yet we've all seen children who are neglected and abused. And I think about children who are maybe in a restaurant or a store and the parents yell at them in public and admonish them and berate them or whatever. And I just think of, if that's how they're treated publicly, my gosh, how bad are they treated behind closed doors with no one else watching? And that is a horrible thing. And the blessing of that is that oftentimes these children can choose to break that cycle, and they can use examples of bad parenting to become better parents, and they can overcome that and use that as an obstacle that they get better from, if that makes sense. And I don't know the statistics or how many can do that, but that opportunity is there. And if they don't, and if they perpetuate that cycle, which unfortunately happens a whole lot, I think that this life and this experience isn't the end for us. And I have a philosophy that I call, this is the philosophy, is Everything will be divinely perfect in the end. And if it's not divinely perfect, it isn't the end. Now, of course, I took that from John Lennon and changed it just a little bit to suit my philosophy a little bit better. But that means that this isn't the end. This isn't the entire experience that we will have as human beings, that there is something more wonderful than we can even imagine on the other side. And I hope that these children who have this horrible luck and who are getting abused or raised by awful parents, if they're not able to make it right in this lifetime, then they'll get it better after this. And I hope that makes a little bit of sense, but that's the blessing that I can find for children who are raised by awful parents. Now, the last things, the two free-for-all blessings, number 4 and 5. Yesterday, I got to spend some time with my son. Again, I've already mentioned him earlier, but he is an 11-year-old boy with Down syndrome. He is a homebody right now, but he wants to stay home all the time, watch TV, just take it easy, relax. But yesterday, he wanted to go to lunch with me, and we went to lunch, had a great conversation, and got haircuts. So I have a haircut here if you can't see it right now. And I love that we got that time together, and it is wonderful that he wanted to go out with me. And it's just something I hope I never take for granted. And I've labeled him and called my son my buddy for always, because he is often with me. He's usually with me all the time. And I just feel so blessed for that. And I don't take those little times like lunch and haircuts for granted, like we got yesterday. The last one on here is that things have come together for our school. I run a school, and we had some upheaval. We had the place we thought we were getting as our location this next year fell through at the last minute, actually beyond the last minute. And we were able to hustle and find another really good place. We have a new guide, which is our version of a teacher, but much better than a teacher. And it all seems to have come together. And I was really worried about this, but the thing I'm grateful for is that things can come together. Things can come from that chaos. And I love that it worked this way that time. So that is it for 5 things to be grateful for today. Again, use this to think about the things that you're grateful for. Hopefully you can be grateful for some things like I am, or use mine as a prompt for your own gratitude. But again, the more we do this, the more we are grateful, the better we get at it. So I hope you're able to do that. And I hope that you are loved and you are deserving. You're loved more than by a creator and other people who you don't even know sometimes, and that you deserve the very best things in life. So with that said, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.